Hey look, somebody asked me a question. I better answer it.
Hi, it's Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com. Today I'm going to answer a question from Tara. Tara has a cool question because I like this kind of stuff, how the industry works, that kind of thing. This question is about automotive design core teams. So her question is specifically, I'm going to be looking over there because that's where the stuff is written. How many people are in an automotive design core team like Ford or GM? That's a cool question. So automotive design is no longer just one guy. It's not just like Harley, Earl, and a couple of subordinates drawing on paper and then making a clay model. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's grown to be where design, engineering, interior, exterior, components, everything, they're all integrated. They're all part of the same basic team. But most design teams have at least 3 people. Some will have up to 5. All of those are the core people. From there, you'll have lots of others that work with those core people. So they either work under them or around them. Before we go any further, I got a joke. How do I want to say this? The project also has progression points. So in the beginning, it'll be a smaller group. Towards the middle, it'll be a huge group. Towards the end, it's again back to a smaller group. So there's a natural progression. And that's because of the design process. In the beginning, it's all on paper and clay, and it's all about prettiness and show quality and all of that. And then it moves into, has to accommodate this, has to accommodate that. You get a lot of engineering involved, and the core team gets bigger. Then you get details going. So then you have somebody who's designing, portions of the interior, some of the exterior elements like side mirrors, things like that. Then you're moving and you keep going, and eventually the bulk of the design is done and they're down to just refinement, and so the team gets smaller to match that. So there's a progression, small, big, small, and then it goes to market. So, but the design team always has 3 core people. Those 3 people are a design director. That will be the person who's in charge of the overall design. It's also often a VP or somebody over the entire design department. They're also usually in charge of all design for the company. So in other words, they create the direction the company's going in terms of design. And most often, design director is their title. Exterior design director. So this will be the person on this particular project who's put in charge of just the exterior elements and will work underneath the full design director, as does everybody in design. Will work underneath that person to keep the company branding for design, to keep it intact. Okay, so this is the person who overall is in charge of the look of the vehicle. They'll have many subordinates who are working underneath them to do different elements, different parts, or even possibly a lot of the work, the actual work involved, with the directors being less hands-on and more administrative and overall big picture. Then you'll have an interior design person. So that interior design director, same thing as the exterior, but working on the interior. So this is the person who is in charge of that entire interior overall, and then has subordinates, again, that do the rest of it, and may not do any of the actual work, may only be approving or giving suggestions or whatever, big picture stuff. Then a team often has liaisons that go to other departments. These may or may not be the directors. They could be a subordinate of each director, or they could be a team or a director all to themselves. They're usually people that have a lot of cross-understanding, so they have cross-training in different departments. So they don't just do design, they don't just do engineering. They do they've done a little bit of everything. They're also generally more interpersonally political. So I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they're just better at dealing with people. on different levels at in different ways, because you deal with an engineer slightly different than you deal with a design person, different than you deal with, say, a color person, etc. So anyway, their job is to integrate all the different teams together and keep them communicating. Then you'll have a new thing that's just kind of popped up. These are the electronics people. So they are the human machine interface designers, or experts, whatever. They are in charge of specifically of like the infotainment, the driver information screens, the controls for those things, all of that. So the HMI, human machine interface people, they're kind of a new thing, but they're catching on very quickly. Almost every company I can think of has somebody who does that. So that's a big deal. They usually work very, very closely with interior design, and sometimes they are just a subordinate part of interior design. But some companies that are getting more and more savvy, they have a separate HMI department. So they have a separate group of people for just that. So there you go. Those are the basics. That's pretty much everything that's involved in vehicle design. These teams can be 3, 4, 5 people. Most of the time, you're talking more like 10, 15, and 20. You're talking very big groups. But again, they're small at the beginning, big in the middle, small at the end. So you have a lot of this. And these people are fluid. Some of them are working on more than one project. Some of them are, so they might be redesigning 2 or 3 vehicles at the same time. That's usually a bigger picture person. But yeah, so the flow is not just, I'm concentrating only on this car and that's it. They're often working on multiple projects. But there you go. That's the gist. That's the general idea of, how many people are in an automotive design core team. So thanks for the cool question, Tara. I appreciate that. If you have a question and no one else can help, and if you can find me, ask it below in the comments. Hit me up on Aaron on Autos. Find me on Facebook, Quora, wherever. Find me and ask, and I'll do my best to answer it. Talk to you again soon.